Hello, everyone. My name is Rabia Shakoor. And if I were to tell you that I'm up here to talk to you about feminism today, I'm sure I'd get a plethora of responses. If you're not rolling your eyes and heading for the first exit, you're jumping out of your seat and you're preparing yourself to hear something that you've heard over and over again. I'm pretty sure parents put their children to sleep by telling them, oh, sleep or the feminists will come get you. Well, I guess you should have slept when your mom told you to, because here I am. To some, feminism strikes to them as an image of a well-built woman screaming at the top of her lungs that women are better than men, and yet to some others, it's just another fad. Beyonce and Emma Watson are talking about it today, it'll be gone and forgotten soon enough tomorrow. But forget dictionary definitions and forget what TV tells you. To be a feminist, all you need to do is believe in gender equality. That is, no matter what gender you are, whether male or female, you deserve the same political, economic, and social rights. And problems do arise when people start ascribing certain labels to things and then certain images to those labels. But at the end of the day, if you believe in gender equality, then congratulations. Along with being a beloved Glen Forest student, a dedicated cat owner, you are now also a feminist. If we go back to the fundamental creatures of nature, we see that there is virtually no evidence of one sex being better than the other. For example, the male bacteria don't come with a mustache and the female ones don't come with high heels, so it's hard to determine who's really superior according to human standards. For example, in clownfish, not only is the leader of the school the largest, she's also female. All clownfish are actually born male and they turn female, and that female is the one that is the leader of the school. And peacocks, male peacocks are the ones that try to impress female peacocks with their beauty. So all those really pretty peacocks that you see are actually all male. So I guess in peacock world, the peacock husbands are the ones that the peacock wives are the ones that tell their peacock husbands to hurry up in the bathroom. In wolf packs, a lot of times the alpha female is the leader of the pack, not the alpha male. So why is it that in human society, men are considered superior? Why has it always been a man's world? And I hear this argument a lot, that how it's just natural, how it's just the way things are, that men are just naturally, they have the upper hand. So I decided to look into where patriarchy originated from, and this is what I found. This is a population pyramid, and those of you who are taking world issues know that a population pyramid shows the amount of people in each age group in each society. And according to the demographic transition theory, this society is in its early stages. According to that theory, every society starts out like this. As you can see, there are a lot more children, 0 to 4, than there are adults, which means that a lot of them, they do not survive childhood because of exposure to the elements and the absence of any sort of healthcare system. Which is why every family would make sure to have at least 8 or more children to ensure that at least some of them would survive into adulthood so they could take care of them when they're older. So since women were the primary child bearers, they were the ones who had to be pregnant for 5 months and then wean the child for 6. They were the ones they had to stay home because they were busy, having kids. And since men, because of their physique, they're bigger, they're better suited to go out and hunt, were the primary breadwinners. And essentially that's how patriarchy started out. Because even though a lot of people try to argue that, yes, both roles are important in society, it doesn't change the fact that the one who goes out and, does heroic things, makes political decisions, claims land, argues with others, has the final say, especially if he's the one who provides food, than the one who stays at home and does repetitive and menial tasks. And please note how these roles that were assigned at the beginning of history, they were not only situational, but they were due to some of the only differences that I can observe from men and women. The fact that, one is average size and the ability to carry a child. And yes, some people do try to argue that there are neurological differences between males and females as well, and they get their sources from sociological studies done years and years ago. What they don't realize is that not only are those studies heavily biased, but they were done using a control group that was not only representative of a single society, but it consisted of people who had been raised in a certain society their entire lives. The brain is a muscle, and it's going to do the best at what it's used to, so the reason they found men to be better at certain things and women to be better at others is because they've been using that part of their brain their entire lives. Which is why new brain scans and studies are showing that there are actually no neurological differences between men and women, which literally means that women are able to do the same things that men can, provided that they're not raised and taught to believe otherwise. For example, there was a study done on two groups writing a math test. The first group was told that boys usually do better than girls at math, and sure enough, they did. The second group wasn't told anything like that, and both of the genders, they performed equally as well. So anyway, after the discovery of medicine and the germ theory, the infant mortality rate dropped significantly, and people didn't need to have like 8 kids per family to ensure that at least some of them survived. So why does patriarchy still exist? This is a question that a lot of people have asked in the past. For example, there was the first wave of feminism during the late 19th century into the early 20th century that fought for the political rights of women and for the right to take place in office. And the second wave of feminism that took place during the 60s and 70s when women fought for reproductive and workplace rights. And even though feminism itself is an English word, I don't like to treat it as an isolated movement in the West by middle-class American women. It's actually much more, widespread than that. For example, Plato the philosopher, he himself condoned the political participation and the liberation of women. Not only that, but the Iranian women's movement happened alongside the second wave of feminism in the West. So I think that really goes to show you how feminism itself isn't really as radical as people, make it to be. Okay, so what about now? The first wave happened and the second wave happened. What about today? It doesn't take a genius to know that gender equality exists as a global issue, but today I want to talk about situations that are more relevant to us as young people who live in the West. And over here, not a lot of people think that gender equality is a problem to begin with. They tell me, look, women have jobs and they can vote, and compared to women living in the third world, it's outright ungrateful for you to be complaining about your situation. Seriously, do you just use feminism to sound smart or something? And every single time, I'm so overwhelmed to just start spitting out figures and headlines, and I'll be like, women don't get paid as much as men. Look at this study done by Harvard students where employers were willing to pay a man more than a woman with the exact same qualifications. Look at how many girls today have eating disorders, and look at how many of them lose their entire lives over it. Look at how many smart and talented women choose not to go into STEM fields because they think that their role in society would be better filled if they were a trophy wife instead. Look at how many women are raped, and if they're lucky enough to be believed, they're blamed for it. And look at how many girls can't even look in the mirror too long without making a list of what needs to be fixed. And look at how many cases of sexual assault and domestic abuse cases occur annually. You can't even walk down 2 blocks down the street or watch half an hour of TV without seeing something that objectifies and degrades women. Look at how many people think that the liberation of women means telling them, oh, you can do everything that a man can, except you have to do it while meeting unrealistic beauty standards and coming home to, household chores all the same. Just look all around you. But I never say any of those things because I've come to see that some people just don't see a problem where I see a problem. And it's not because they hate women or they're bad people, simply because of the way that they've come to perceive women. In Eric Asadorian's essay, The Rise and Fall of Consumer Cultures, he argues that if society were to ever shun consumerism and start living sustainably, it would take more than government policies and PSAs. It would require the change in a way that society perceives its very reality. He says, It will require decades of effort in which cultural pioneers, those who can step out of their cultural realities enough to critically examine them. He also said that overconsumption is embedded so deeply into our culture that humans don't see it as a cultural construct. They see it as something natural, something that was just there. And that's what makes it so hard to get rid of. And I feel as if it's the same for gender inequality. Because I love to tell people to protest with picket signs and write angry letters to the magazine editors and, boycott sexist hip-hop lyrics. But before we can even do that, we need to step outside of our comfort zone and start questioning things that we've believed our entire lives. Like, if I were to tell you to define a woman, what would you say? And why would you say it? Would it be fair? Would it be accurate? And would it be fair? For all you girls out there, are you okay with it? And for all you guys, would you be okay with it? Because I think that if we don't start asking ourselves these questions, no matter how many government policies are passed and no matter how many TED Talks are delivered, the psychology that derives gender inequality is going to make a home in our society, and nothing's going to change. If you change your mind about women, your kids will know better, and their kids will know better, and our culture will start to actually shift away from gender inequality instead of giving it new faces. I'm going to end off with a quote by Margaret Mead that you probably heard a lot, but I think it's really relevant. It goes, "A small group of thoughtful people could change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." Thank you.